This is CTV News with Kevin Chirac.
It's a balance between trying to focus on your routine and keeping things as normal as possible.
Tonight's leading Canada into the Lion's Den. We hear from the Vancouver Island rugby star aiming to lift Canada to World Cup glory in England. Also ahead. Hospital workers in Nanaimo are demanding immediate action, saying government delays on healthcare commitments is putting their patients in danger. Plus, Adam finds out how a dad in Esquimalt is being inspired by his daughter's love of animals later on the Sawatsky Sign-Off. Good evening. Thank you for joining us. This weekend, the Canadian women's rugby team will take to the pitch in England, looking to be crowned the best in the world. They'll be playing against England, a powerhouse that hasn't lost in more than 30 matches. But as CTV's Brendan Strain reports, one of the game's biggest stars with island roots says momentum is on Canada's side.
Inside, outside.
This Saturday, the Canadian women's rugby team will play in the Women's Rugby World Cup Finals against England on their home pitch.
Most of our matches are away from home, so we're really used to walking into a crowd that's not 100% for us.
That crowd will be the largest in women's rugby history, made up of 82,000 fans.
De Goody! Between the posts! Sophie De Goody! Canada!
Sophie De Goody is Team Canada's vice captain and an impact player on the team.
She's an overachiever. She's good at everything.
She also calls Victoria home.
So I played for Castaway Wanderers.
Her father played and mother coached at the James Bay Athletic Association.
Before I can even remember, I was, I guess, there with the backpack on and a doll in my backpack running around while they were coaching trainings and telling the girls to run faster.
When it was time for Sophie to join the sport, James Bay didn't have a minis program for girls, forcing Sophie to cross the capital region into Oak Bay to start her career playing for the rival Wanderers.
I feel really fortunate to have grown up in two rugby clubs in Victoria through James Bay and through Castaways.
Her presence is amazing for her age. So I think she's always been a pretty mature athlete.
Anna Ray coached Sophie through her early playing days with the Wanderers. On Saturday, she will be glued to her TV to watch women's rugby history in the making.
It'll be monumental. I think that they have a fantastic chance. Like, they are going to have to play amazing rugby, but they have been playing so well the entire tournament that I think that they're going to hopefully culminate in a win. I'm so excited. I'm 100% behind them.
Massively, we felt the support.
The England team will be a tough opponent. Currently, they haven't lost a game in 32 matches. De Goody says her team is ready and hopes all the attention this game is bringing to the team will be good for the sport back home.
Hopefully we can inspire the next generation of great Canadian rugby players and grow the game.
The game kicks off at 8 a.m. on Saturday on TSN. Brendan Strain, CTV News, Victoria.
A Mid-Island advocacy group says more than 230 members of the medical staff at Nanaimo Hospital have signed an online petition asking for expanded health services in the region. The group says they're taking action after the NDP government failed to deliver on its promise of much-needed change. Andy Garland reports.
And we're returned to government. We're going to build that new patient care tower at Nanaimo Hospital.
It's been a year since David Eby delivered this campaign promise.
This was a promise to get the NDP party elected. We elected them, and we're still waiting.
Advocating for fair and equitable access to health care north of the Malahat, the Fair Care Alliance wants the provincial government to fulfill their promise of a new patient tower in Nanaimo.
It's going to take 10 years. So that's where I'm discouraged, is are we 10 years from now and we still see nothing? We should be 9 years from now.
But even more pressing is the need for a cardiac catheterization lab at NRGH, which is something the Premier acknowledged during last year's election campaign.
Life expectancy drops by a year for every hour that you drive north of the Malahat. The burden of illness is significant in the central North Island.
President of the Medical Staff Association, Dr. David Forrest, says an initial study was done in 2006 that a cath lab was needed in Nanaimo and is disappointed that countless governments since then have failed to recognize that need.
I'm particularly frustrated that Mr. Eby has made promises to improve services here and build a new tower and has failed to keep to that commitment.
If I were a fly on the wall at UBCM this week, I can tell you that the message there is we have no money, we have no money, we have no money.
With a nearly $12 billion deficit, Nanaimo's mayor, who is at the UBCM in Victoria, is hearing exactly that. But he says capital spending is the best form of government investment.
This is needed. It's the right thing to do. It will create jobs. It will stimulate the economy, and you'll get a big chunk of it back in taxes anyway.
A cath lab in 3 years would go a long ways to showing those of us that live in central Vancouver Island that they are serious about the campaign promise that they made.
The province tells CTV News that the Minister of Infrastructure met with the NRGH board president yesterday and was optimistic about opportunities to advance the new tower over the course of the government's 4-year mandate. Steps are being taken to provide cardiac services at NRGH, but significant work is still needed. Andy Garland, CTV News, Nanaimo.
Well, if you're planning a liquor store run this weekend, you may find fewer doors open and stricter limits on what you can buy. The BC General Employees Union has expanded its strike to dozens more government-run outlets, leaving shoppers and restaurants bracing for shortages. The union says 35 additional stores joined picket lines today, bringing the total number of closed liquor stores to 65. That's nearly a third of all government-run locations across BC. The liquor distribution branch is already rationing supply, limiting customers to just 3 units per product per day. And while beer and Bordeaux wine are exempt, restaurants and importers warn the disruption could mean fewer choices and longer wait times.
We've done our best to shield the public from the impact of this strike. Unfortunately, we can't do that indefinitely. That's something that we've also said right from the beginning. What's changed is simply the government's refusal to negotiate, to come back to the table.
Finch says the government has refused to come back to the bargaining table, and he disputes Finance Minister Brenda Bailey's claim that, quote, back-channel discussions are underway. He says there have been no talks with the union, formal or informal, and warns job action will escalate if a new wage mandate doesn't come soon. Day 4 of the Union of BC Municipalities Convention featured a pair of speeches from BC opposition leaders as they look to highlight their party's priorities. In Victoria, Conservative leader John Rustad took the stage to lay out his party's commitments to local governments. Highlighting the promises was the establishment of a $1 billion infrastructure fund with a focus on water and sewer-based projects and the restoration of property rights and housing predictability. In her first official day as leader of the BC Greens, 25-year-old Emily Lowen addressed municipal leaders across the province with her party's plans for a better BC.
I dream of a future and a present BC where everyone can thrive, where small businesses are supported, not squeezed out by monopolies, where we build resilience against wildfires and floods instead of reacting after the fact, where investments in housing, healthcare, and renewable energy create good local jobs while lowering costs for families, where Indigenous nations have the resources and respect to fully exercise their sovereignty.
Premier David Eby is slated to address the union tomorrow as the 4-day convention draws to a close. Community leaders in Victoria gathered at the legislature for an emotional raising of a survivor's flag. Residential school survivor Eddie Charlie has loaned his personal flag to the parliamentary ground. It was raised early this afternoon ahead of the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation on September 30th.
I look at this flag here. This is 150 years of tears, 150 years of sadness. This isn't about residential school survivors. This is about the children that did not come back home. I think about this flag every day.
Yes, we were stolen, we were abducted, we were taken. We didn't know why, we didn't know where we're going, and we didn't understand the things that they did to us. It didn't have to happen.
The crowd stood to honor the children who did not come home. BC's Premier and MLAs also spoke about their commitment to listening and ongoing action. The Capital Regional District has released the latest estimate of the number of people experiencing homelessness in Greater Victoria. It says at least 1,749 people are unhoused, up from 1,665 2 years ago. The new number comes from a, quote, point-in-time count that happened over 2 days in March. The count includes people on the street, emergency shelters, and transitional housing, along with those who are couch surfing or in public places like hospitals but have no fixed address.
I hear housing first a lot around BC. Some politicians say that we're practicing it right now, but we're actually building shelters first. We're not building housing first.
The CRD says the count offers only a snapshot of the issue, so the totals aren't directly comparable year over year. Search and rescue teams from the North Shore and Nanaimo say they were the first to use a new piece of tech that aims to pinpoint the exact location of lost people. LifeSeeker is a never-before-seen unit in the field of search and rescue missions. The recently acquired tech is installed onto a helicopter and functions like a portable cell tower, helping to locate cell phones through their serial numbers in areas that otherwise would have no signal. Volunteer crews from Nanaimo say the LifeSeeker tech proved its worth during a remote rescue for a lost e-biker last Friday.
We knew we had a big area, so we requested North Shore Search and Rescue to come over, and we were fortunate enough to get their LifeSeeker capability, which really helped. The capability up till now has been you have to triangulate off of various cell phone towers, which can be hit and miss, and it's certainly not all that accurate, but this is very pinpoint.
She says that the equipment's use was the first of its kind in BC, adding that once the helicopter strapped with LifeSeeker tech entered the area, the lost biker was located in just 20 minutes.
16 degrees in Victoria right now. That is the daytime high, which makes this the coolest day so far this month of September. We'll see some similar mid-teen highs for tomorrow and the weekend. Those details after the break.
CTV weather brought to you by Expedia Cruises, customizing dream vacations with unbelievable value. Call or learn more at expediacruises.ca.
Hey, West Shore Youth, looking for a fun spot to hang out? Youth nights are here. Skating, art, swims, and a place to chill. Staff-led and supervised for a safe, inclusive vibe. Check out wspr.ca for more info.
All right, welcome back. Josh is here with your weather. And Josh, it is starting to feel a little brisk out there. I guess fall weather has finally arrived.
Yeah, autumn officially started earlier this week, and yet, I mean, we still had some really nice above-average temperatures through most of this week. Today was kind of the start of it feeling a little more like fall. 16 degrees right now, and for the daytime highs, mentioned right before the break, that's the coolest day so far this month. We had a 17-degree day early in September, but a lot of the days this month have been in the 20s. 18s, Port Alberni and Nanaimo, and look at Port Hardy, 11 degrees right now with cloudy skies. We get some showers here approaching the Comox area. Port Alberni may see a few scattered showers as well before the night is done. Should all fall apart before it hits Victoria, though. I think it'll be dry tonight and tomorrow morning in Victoria. A little different story here. Further to the north, you have some rain. In fact, rain will play a big feature in the forecast over the next couple of days for northern and western parts of the island. Midday, and maybe a couple of sprinkles around Victoria, and then a break through the afternoon, and then again in the evening, a slight chance. So as we talk about a wet forecast for the weekend, for most of the island, that is true. For Victoria, it doesn't actually look all that wet. You can see a lot of this is going to be well to the north over the course of the next 3 or 4 days. 20 to 40 millimeters worth of rain in the north with that, it's probably more than a 60% chance. 13 degrees for a daytime high. 14 on Saturday, and then 12s and 13s for Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, with some more heavier, steadier rain in the forecast for Sunday. Inland areas looking at a few showers, high of 16 tomorrow. 15 Saturday with 10 to 15 millimeters worth of rain. Some more rain in the forecast for Sunday, although maybe not quite as steady as Saturday, and then showers possible for Monday, Tuesday. Out on the west coast, some showers tomorrow early in the day. The heaviest of the rain, though, is going to roll in the evening hours. You're looking at wind gusts to about 50 or 60 kilometers per hour. And then by the end of Saturday, 30 to 60 millimeters worth of rain, with more on the way through Sunday, Monday. And you can see temperatures well below average, 13s and 14s for daytime highs. Gusty as well in Comox tomorrow with a 60% chance of some showers, high of 17. Steadiest rain looks like it'll be Saturday, 10 to 20 millimeters worth, and then a little bit more Sunday, maybe 5 to 10 millimeters more on Sunday. Monday, Tuesday could be wet as well. In Nanaimo, mostly cloudy, high of 19 tomorrow. You get some steadier rain Saturday, probably 5 to 10 millimeters worth. Chance of scattered showers for Sunday and Monday, and then late Tuesday, maybe a little more wet weather as well. As we said, it is wet across most of the island. Not so much in Victoria, though. Mostly cloudy skies tomorrow, high of 16, so pretty close to where we were today. Scattered showers possible midday and then again in the evening, but dry for most of the day. And then through the weekend, 17 Saturday, 15 on Sunday, so right around to just slightly cooler than average. CTV Weather is brought to you by Expedia Cruises for air, land, and sea vacations. So with those temperatures, Kevin, as we were talking before, jackets. You're going to want to find your autumn jackets. Speaking of jackets, yours looks fantastic.
Oh, thank you. You as well. And umbrellas, especially for the West Coast. That is a lot of rain, Josh.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes, it is.
Major changes are coming to address the existential challenges facing Canada Post. Today, the federal government announced it has instructed the Crown Corporation to start transforming how it operates. CTV's Rachel Aiello is tracking the developments from Ottawa.
We learned today that Canada Post is effectively insolvent, and the situation facing an institution generations of Canadians have relied on is unsustainable. So the government is forcing immediate changes to mail delivery to try and save money. How and how often Canadians' mail is delivered is changing. Today, the federal government directed Canada Post to end door-to-door delivery, lifting the decade-old moratorium on community mailbox conversions.
I want to be clear. Canada Post has an obligation to serve all Canadians in every community in Canada, and that will not change.
While 3/4 of Canadians already receive mail in a communal location, within the next 9 years, the remaining 4 million addresses will stop seeing mail carriers at their door.
Canada Post will inform Canadians as they go.
Citing reduced demand, Canada Post is also being told to lower its letter mail delivery standard, meaning instead of it taking between 2 and 4 days for small deliveries, it could take up to 7. And changes are also coming to rural post office operations, as recently recommended by an industrial inquiry.
These measures will help stabilize Canada Post's financial situation by generating close to $500 million per year.
Since 2018, Canada Post has lost more than $5 billion and is on track to lose close to $1.5 billion more this year. And stalled labor negotiations between postal workers and management have exacerbated the crisis.
Issues that they
Despite the minister's hope this move could bring both sides back to the bargaining table, the union is already sounding alarms about job cuts.
We're not going to take that laying down. Instead of improving the service, they're going to cut the service, so there's going to be nothing left of it.
The government says while it is removing barriers to reform, the corporation also needs to reduce costs and review its management structure. In a statement, Canada Post said it welcomes the changes and vowed to work with urgency to implement them. Rachel Aiello, CTV News, Ottawa.
An uptick in drug poisonings across Greater Victoria has prompted an overdose advisory. The Island Health Authority says community members that use unregulated drugs are at an increased risk for poisoning. The advisory recommends frequent substance checks and that users take a lower dose than usual while being supervised by a naloxone-carrying friend. For more information on harm reduction services, it can be found online at islandhealth.ca. Coming up, animal inspiration. Adam finds out how a dad walking his daughter's dog is being inspired by her legacy of love next on the Sawatsky Sign-Off. And finally, Adam finds out how a dad in Esquimalt is being inspired by his daughter's love of animals on the Sawatsky Sign-Off.
Troy Townsend will never forget that day he surprised his daughter Lexi with a very real dog.
Couldn't believe it. What? This is, yeah, unbelievable.
Because before Max,
I'm 6 years older than you.
Lexi's big love,
You're still a baby.
Was a little owl.
Well, I don't even know if she actually saw a real owl in her life, but she surrounded herself with owls.
Well, she placed owl pictures in her bedroom and hung her owl-shaped handprints in the living room. Lexi always brought this little stuffed owl to the hospital.
They put the needle in.
You see, Lexi was diagnosed with the ultra-rare Blau syndrome, which filled her body with debilitating and painful inflammation. Max was bought to be her therapy dog and ended up being a best friend.
I remember sometimes she'd be crying and then she'd look over at Max and then she'd just start laughing.
Max always found a way to make Lexi feel better.
He made my dreams come true.
Until that day he couldn't find her anywhere.
He always has been looking for her ever since.
5 years since Lexi's unexpected death, Max still runs to her room when he returns home.
He'll just sit there as if she's there, looking at something that we can't see.
Well, Troy and his family started turning their pain into purpose by launching the Cure Blau Syndrome Foundation. They also never stopped looking for Lexi.
And one day I said, I wish you would give us a sign that she's around.
And although they'd never seen an owl anywhere near their house before, Troy says this one stayed for more than an hour.
I've never seen anything like it, and I wouldn't have believed it if I didn't see it.
And ever since then,
oh my God,
owls have visited their house on birthdays, anniversaries, and any day they needed it most.
When they're gone, maybe they're not really gone, maybe they're still there, we just need to look a little harder.
And maybe, on those days we don't see signs, like this day, Max couldn't find Lexi in her room, and Troy gave him her house coat, where he stayed curled up for hours, we can find comfort in helping others.
Love wins, love comes through. She might be gone, but that love isn't.
Adam Sawatsky, CTV News, Esquimalt.
And that is it for us tonight. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great rest of your night.